You know West Virginia for its beautiful mountains, winding roads, and peaceful small towns. But there's another side most people never see. Hidden deep in the hills are places that time forgot. Some were wiped out overnight, others were left to rot, one empty home at a time. No tourists go there, no locals talk about them. But they're still out there, falling apart in silence. In this video, we're counting down 13 abandoned places in West Virginia that most people don't even know exist. And when we get to number 1, you'll see why some stories were never meant to be remembered. So make sure to watch till the end. Number 13. Kmore. Tucked inside the New River Gorge, Kmore was once a bustling coal mining town that carved itself into the mountainside. It was built in the early 1900s and had everything: homes, a school, a store, even its own power plant. But the real heart of Kmore was the mine, and the massive set of wooden stairs that connected the workers above to the coal processing plant down below. At its peak, hundreds of miners worked here. They'd climb up and down nearly 800 stairs every single day, just to get to work. Imagine doing that in the freezing cold or summer heat, carrying tools and wearing heavy boots. But as coal demand dropped, Kmore couldn't keep up. The mine shut down in the 1960s, and slowly the town faded away. The buildings collapsed, the stairs rotted, nature took over. Today, all that's left are the ruins. Staircases swallowed by vines, rusted machinery, and foundations clinging to the cliffs. You can hike to it, but it's not easy. And that's part of what makes it so mysterious. Most people never even try. Number 12. Salem College Ruins. In the quiet hills of Salem, West Virginia, lies what's left of a once thriving religious college. And what's left isn't much. Salem College was founded with a mission to teach faith, discipline, and education. For decades, it did just that, attracting students from across the region. But over time, the enrollment slowed, the funding dried up, and the buildings began to crumble. Then came the fire. No one knows exactly how it started. Some say it was an accident. Others whisper it was something darker, a result of the strange rituals that were rumored to happen in the old chapel's basement. Whatever the truth is, the school never recovered. It shut down quietly, its buildings left to the wild. Today, the ruins are barely visible through thick vines and overgrowth. Old stone walls, classroom outlines, and shattered windows peek out from the trees. Some locals say they've heard voices there at night, prayers, whispers, even footsteps, even though the buildings have been empty for years. It's one of those places that feels like it's hiding something. Number 11. Hawk's Nest Tunnel. At first glance, the Hawk's Nest area near Ansted just looks like another scenic spot in West Virginia. Cliffs, forests, and the beautiful New River below. But beneath this peaceful view lies one of the darkest industrial disasters in American history. Back in the early 1930s, workers were brought here to dig a tunnel through Gorley Mountain. The job seemed simple: build a hydroelectric tunnel to power a nearby plant. But the rock they were cutting through was full of silica, and the men weren't given proper protection. There were no masks, no ventilation, just long shifts in the dust. Within months, workers began getting sick, coughing, gasping, collapsing. Most of them were African American men, hired during the Great Depression. And when they died, they were quickly replaced. Over time, it's believed that more than 700 people may have died from what's now known as silicosis, a deadly lung disease. The site was never properly marked. No memorial, no names. Just silence. Today, the entrances to the tunnel are sealed off, and most people drive right past without knowing what happened here. But locals say if you stop and listen near the cliffs, you might hear something. Some claim to hear coughing in the wind. Others say they feel watched, like the mountain remembers. Number 10. Harmony Grove Tunnels. Not far from Morgantown, buried deep in the hills and nearly forgotten by time, are the Harmony Grove Tunnels, a place most people have never even heard of, unless they grew up nearby or went looking for something strange. These tunnels were once part of a bustling train route in the early 1900s. Trains used to barrel through them day and night, hauling coal, goods, and people across West Virginia. But as rail travel faded and new roads were built, the tracks were ripped up, and the tunnels were sealed off. Or so people thought. Today, they're hidden behind trees and brush. There are no signs, no warnings, just dark, gaping mouths carved into the earth. The inside? Cold, damp, and pitch black. Graffiti covers the walls. The ground is soft with dirt and time, and if you go in far enough, your flashlight might be the only thing keeping you company. Locals say the tunnels are haunted. Some claim to hear footsteps behind them. Others say they've seen strange shadows moving where no one should be. A few even believe something, or someone, still lives in the dark. But here's what makes the Harmony Grove tunnels especially eerie. They feel like a trap. The deeper you go, the harder it is to tell how far you've come, or how to get back out. Number 9. Lake Shauny Amusement Park. You've probably been to an amusement park before, but nothing like this one. Lake Shauny Amusement Park in Mercer County wasn't built just for fun. It was built on a Native American burial ground, and it didn't take long before things started going wrong. In the 1920s, this park had it all. A Ferris wheel, swings, a swimming pond, even a racetrack. Families came from all around to spend their weekends here. But behind the laughter, something darker was happening. Over the years, several children died at the park. One little girl was riding the swing set when a delivery truck backed into her. She was killed instantly. Another boy drowned in the swimming pond. And those are just the stories we know. People started saying the park was cursed. Some claimed to see the little girl in a pink dress wandering near the swing set. Others heard voices in the trees or footsteps around the Ferris wheel at night, long after the park had closed. By the 1960s, it shut down completely. Today, the rusting rides still stand. The Ferris wheel creaks in the wind. The swings sway slowly, even on still days. It's private property now, but ghost tours are allowed, and those who visit say it's one of the creepiest places they've ever seen. And here's the chilling part. Archaeologists later uncovered thousands of Native American artifacts and at least 13 skeletons buried beneath the park. Number 8. Vanlier. Tucked away in the hills of Johnson County, Kentucky, Vanlier feels like a place that time left behind. Back in the early 1900s, this was a booming coal camp, built by Consolidation Coal Company to house workers and their families. It had everything a mining town needed: rows of simple homes, a company store, a church, and a rail line that ran straight through it. At its peak, Vanlier had over 4,000 residents. Trains rumbled in and out, coal dust filled the air, and life moved to the rhythm of the mines. But when the mines started to shut down in the mid-20th century, people had no reason to stay. Jobs vanished. Families moved on. And little by little, the town grew quieter and colder. Today, parts of Vanlier still stand, but they look like frozen memories. Some homes are still lived in, but many are abandoned. You'll see rusted mining carts left in the weeds, cracked windows, and train tracks that lead to nowhere. There's even a museum now, filled with photos, tools, and stories from when the town was full of life. But walk down the old streets, and you'll notice something strange. The silence. Number 7. Gad. If you've ever been to Summers County, you've probably seen Summersville Lake, the largest lake in West Virginia. But what most people don't know is there's a whole town underneath it. That town was called Gad. In the early 1960s, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers built the Summersville Dam to help with flood control. To do that, they needed to flood the entire area, which meant buying out and clearing out everything in Gad. Homes, farms, churches. All were either demolished or submerged. Residents were forced to leave. Some homes were moved, others were burned down. Cemeteries were relocated. And when the waters rose, Gad vanished. Now, it's a ghost town you'll never see unless you go scuba diving. On some days when the water is extremely low, Pieces of the old town resurface. Foundations, bridges, old roads that lead straight into the lake. I hope you are enjoying this video so far, so make sure to hit that like button and don't forget to share this video with your beloved ones. Now let's move to our next location. Number 6. Sewell. Deep in the New River Gorge lies Sewell, a town most people have never heard of, yet it once played a key role in West Virginia's coal history. Built at the base of the gorge, Sewell was a coal-loading town, a place where carts rolled down from the cliffs above, loaded with coal ready to be shipped out by rail. It wasn't a large town, but it was busy. Workers lived in simple homes tucked into the forest, and the sound of trains and machinery echoed through the valley. There were no grand buildings, no fancy mansions, just coal, steel, and the constant movement of industry. But when mining declined, Sewell faded fast. Homes were abandoned. Tracks rusted. The forest returned, creeping over everything like a slow tide. Today, all that remains are the stone walls, iron rails, and a path that leads nowhere. Hiking to Sewell feels like walking into a memory, one that's half erased. There are no signs, no crowds, and barely a mention of it on maps. Just you, the wind, and the quiet remnants of a town that once fueled a nation, and then vanished without a sound. Number 5. Nuttleberg. Deep inside the New River Gorge, hidden behind dense trees and steep trails, lies Nuttleberg, a coal town built in the 1870s and later expanded by none other than Henry Ford. Yes, that Henry Ford. He believed that if he could control every part of car production, even the coal used to make steel, he could make cars cheaper. So he invested heavily in Nuttleberg. He brought in machines, upgraded the conveyor systems, and boosted production. For a short time, it worked. The town thrived. But it didn't last. By the 1920s, Ford abandoned the project. The coal ran low. Other locations were cheaper. And once Ford pulled out, the decline came fast. The company store shut down. The workers moved away, and the forest crept back in. Today, what's left of Nuttleberg is almost too perfect to be real. Rusted conveyor belts still stretch across the sky. Giant steel structures sit frozen in place. The coal tipple, rail tracks, and mine entrances are still visible, like a snapshot of the past that never changed. And here's what makes it truly haunting. You can walk through this entire ghost town. There are signs, trails, and viewpoints, but it's quiet, too quiet. Locals say it always feels colder here, and some swear they've heard sounds, footsteps, voices, even machinery, where nothing should be. Number 4. Richwood. Tucked deep in the Appalachian Mountains, Richwood was once known as the hardwood capital of the world. Back in the early 1900s, the town thrived on timber. The forests were thick, the mills ran 24/7, and trains rolled out daily, packed with lumber headed all across the country. Richwood had banks, schools, theaters, and a downtown that buzzed with life. People came here for work. Families built homes. Businesses opened on every corner. It was the kind of small town where everyone knew everyone. But the trees didn't last forever. By the mid-1900s, logging slowed. The mills started closing. And with no jobs left, people began to leave, quickly. Homes were abandoned. Stores shut their doors. Schools sat empty. Then came the floods. Richwood was hit hard, multiple times. Each flood washed away more of what was left. And slowly, the town started to vanish. Not just from maps, but from memory. Today, what's left feels frozen. You'll see shattered windows, overgrown lots, and signs from businesses that closed decades ago. Some homes are still standing, but no one's inside. It's quiet. Eerily quiet. Number 3. The Greenbryer Ghost Site. In the peaceful hills of Greenbryer County, West Virginia, there's a small graveyard that holds one of the strangest stories in American legal history. Back in 1897, a young woman named Zona Heastershoe died under mysterious circumstances. Her husband claimed she had fallen down the stairs, and a local doctor signed the death certificate without asking too many questions. But Zona's mother, Mary Jane, didn't believe it for a second. She insisted her daughter had been murdered, and then something unbelievable happened. According to Mary Jane, Zona's ghost began to appear to her every night. For 4 nights in a row, the spirit described in detail how her husband had violently broken her neck during an argument, and then tried to cover it up by dressing her body before calling the doctor. Most people wouldn't believe a ghost story, but Mary Jane was relentless. Her persistence led officials to exhume Zona's body. And when they did, the autopsy confirmed exactly what the ghost had said. Her neck had been broken. Her husband was arrested, tried, and eventually convicted of murder. To this day, it remains the only known U.S. court case where a ghost's testimony was used as part of the prosecution. It sounds impossible, but it's real. If you visit the cemetery today, you'll find Zona's grave quietly resting under the trees, with a sign that still mentions the Greenbryer ghost. And as strange as that sounds, what's coming next might chill you even more. Because the next ghost town? There are no spirits, no courtrooms. Just silence and the crumbling remains of a once busy town swallowed by time. Number 2, Bramwell. Back in the early 1900s, Bramwell wasn't just another coal town, it was the coal town. It had more millionaires per square mile than anywhere else in the United States. That's not an exaggeration, it's a fact. Why? Because Bramwell was home to the coal barons, the owners and executives who built their fortunes off the backs of miners. While nearby towns were full of cramped shacks and dust, Bramwell had brick mansions, private clubs, and imported goods from Europe. At its height, the town was a symbol of power and wealth, hidden in the mountains of West Virginia. But like all things built on one industry, it didn't last. As coal declined, so did the fortunes of Bramwell's elite. Families moved away. Mansions were left empty. Businesses closed. And the streets, once filled with horse-drawn carriages and gold watches, became quiet. Today, some of the old mansions are still standing, beautiful, but weathered by time. You can walk past them and wonder who once sat in those grand rooms, and why they left so suddenly. What makes Bramwell eerie isn't how abandoned it is, it's how intact it feels. You can almost feel the wealth still clinging to the air, even as nature takes over. Number 1. Thurmont. You might never expect it by looking at it today, but Thurmont used to be one of the richest towns in West Virginia. Back in the early 1900s, it was booming. Coal was king, and Thurmont sat right in the heart of it, surrounded by mines, railroads, and business. Trains pulled in constantly, loaded with coal, supplies, and people. Banks were busy. Hotels were full. At one point, more money passed through Thurmont's banks than in cities 10 times its size. It had no roads, only rail access, and yet it thrived. But over time, things began to change. As cars took over and the coal industry declined, Thurmont's isolation became a curse. People moved out, businesses shut down, and slowly the trains stopped coming. Now, only a handful of buildings remain. A silent post office, the old railroad depot, and a few boarded-up houses. But what makes Thurmont feel different is how intact it still is. It's like time paused. The National Park Service now manages the area, and visitors can still walk through its hauntingly quiet streets. You can almost hear the trains and footsteps from a century ago. And as you stand there, in a place that once roared with life and wealth, it's hard not to ask yourself, how can something so powerful disappear so completely? Now that's it for now. Let us know, which of these places have you heard before? We'd love to know your thoughts.